Okay guys, in school, what did you learn about mental health?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing.
I feel like maybe kind of touched on it like in sixth form because A-levels were ridiculously stressful and they kind of felt like, oh, we kind of have to talk to them about it because half of them hate their lives, they're really stressed out about everything.
We had like a school counsellor, but I guess we didn't even know sometimes why we even needed a school counsellor.
At least in my school, we had that like somewhere to go, to have counselling, to get like help if we needed it. But it wasn't until it got bad. Like you had to be very depressed, very sad, very like showing it in school and for other people to notice rather than for you to be able to go and say, oh, I'm having an issue, can I have like someone to talk to about it?
I hated my school years. They were the worst years of my life. There was not one teacher which I felt that I could confide in for anything.
A lot of the teachers and adults were like so dismissive of anyone who said they were feeling depressed or anxious or, in the worst case scenario, suicidal.
Mental illness is such a complex thing. There's so much to it. There's so many types of illness, and I think that we were not taught anything to the point where we were almost oblivious if we were suffering from anything at all.
I literally got to the point where I was so unhappy that I said to my teachers, I'm going to spend the rest of year 11 working at home and then come into my exams, I'm going to kill myself. Obviously that was taken very seriously. My parents are called in and they were like, Alyssa's just going to kill herself. I meant it. Like, I really meant it. It was a horrific time.
I was struggling with my sexuality, I was struggling with everything. And I self-harmed really badly, and that's when school started to notice. Before that, there was just not really much because people don't talk about it. There's not a dialogue around it, and if you are self-harming, it's very hidden and shameful, and people look at you and they're like, oh God, like they try and avoid you rather than talking about it and saying, do you need some help?
For me, queer-specific mental health stuff, my internalised homophobia was ridiculous. I didn't understand what was happening, and like anything I picked up from society, kind of like residual family stuff was not, I don't know, just that it wasn't normal to be queer, so I ended up just honestly just hating myself every day.
It's not who they are, it's how society are telling them what they are. And it's when you're young, it's scary anyway, because you're like in a new world and discovering all these things, especially being, you know, gay with it. It's like, oh God, what now?
Even if you're not suffering from like mental illness, you should just be aware, because I guarantee you'll know someone that is.
Yeah.
We have to sort of like remove the stigma around it and kind of just let people know that there is nothing to be like ashamed of if you do suffer from a mental health problem.
Everyone has like bad days, like, and I think children need to know that, like, if you are having a bad day, that doesn't mean it's going to be bad for the rest of your life. Like, that's just one bad day, and yes, like, you're in a horrible situation, but it gets better.
I think there just needs to be, like, for queer kids specifically, a conversation around issues such as internalised homophobia, because I've spoken to so many people since then who have had similar feelings that they just didn't fit in the world and they didn't understand, and like that you feel like there's something wrong with you, and it takes you so many years sometimes for some people to realise that there actually is nothing wrong with you at all.
In my experience, there was no open discussion or forum for the students to kind of like share their own thoughts and feelings or ask questions.
So I feel like people should come into schools and talk about their own experience, so then the children looking up can think, yeah, I can actually relate to that person and not feel so, you know, on their own.
Just in general, I think it's like mental health is important to everybody. So like a 10-minute chat in a group on a Friday, we could have had like 10 minutes where a professionally trained teacher in mental health could just come around and be like, how you doing, you know, how's school, how's home? And just sit, and then when that's normalised, you start asking your peers and you start talking to them a bit more openly, and it's...
Good day everyone, thank you for taking the time to participate in our forum. Before we start the forum, let me introduce myself and our panels. I'm Leong Qian Yao, and I will be the moderator for this forum, and they are the panels for today, which is Miss Divya.
Good day, everyone. My name is Divyasinee and I'm a part of this panel. Hope to work well with everyone who is present today.
Miss Sarani.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarani. Thank you everyone who's present today. Let's hope to have a good discussion.
And also Mr. Sri.
Hello everyone, welcome to our forum. We'll see you guys later.
Today we are going to discuss about the mental health in the LGBTQ communications. Before we move on the discussion, let me explain a bit about the LGBTQ. Next slide. L stands for lesbian. The definitions of lesbian is that the physical gender is female and the psychological genders also identify themselves as female. And their sexual orientations points to people of the same sex. G is gay. Gay refer to men who are attracted to men and want to develop intimate relations and sexual behaviors with them. B is bisexual. Bisexual is referred to people who have desire for both sexes at the same time. And T stands for transgender. Transgender replace the term transsexuals. Transsexuals cannot include people who are not traditional genders, but not want to change their bodies through hormones or surgery. For example, a transgender person may identify as a woman despite having been born with male genitalia, and they will dress up like the girls. And the last is Q. Q is queer. Queer is for all gays, bisexuals, others people who do not want to be genders fixed by a certain labels can call themselves queer. And in today's society, homosexuality is a very common phenomenon, but at the same time, there are also a lot of people who discriminate against homosexuality. They will think these people are strange, disgusting, and even they think they are sick. This has caused some homosexuals to face some psychological pressure. Okay. So now let us start the discussions. Next slide. So first question to our panels. How do you perceive the situations within the LGBTQ community in relations to mental health?
Okay, in my perspective point of view, the majority of LGBTQ people do not have a mental disorder. This is because they don't truly face difficulties of mental illness, since we as community have to assist them because we live in a multiracial nation and we should offer them the best and treat them equally. This will satisfy them and keep them from experiencing breakdowns. For example, consider my high school experience. I have the LGBT friends who were absolutely okay since everyone supported them by offering them love and respect. And some people of this LGBTQ have an optimistic attitude, which is good. They are unconcerned about what others think. They believe that their lives are defined by themselves and that the freedom to choose and should not be entrusted to others. As long as people are pleased, they have power over their own life. Moving on to the next panel, please.
Thank you so much for opinion. In my opinion, the current situation with this community in the mental health context, I would say that it's pretty much on the downside. I'm saying this from a point where the LGBTQ community isn't really accepted in this country, as we all know, because Malaysia is very much a conservative country and they have certain standards to uphold. And I would say currently the community is facing a lot of hate. I'm not saying that they don't really accept a lot of love and support. They do, but it's from different areas. And that's my opinion. It's pretty much on the downside currently because of the pandemic and whatnot. Passing on to the next panel to give his opinion.
All right, thank you. So based on my knowledge on this topic, mental health does relate to the LGBT community. It affects them by certain people not willing to come out of the closet because they are feeling scared, and they are with all the scared of the parents will not accept them, or the community around them will not accept them. This will cause them mental health, such as like stress and everything else will cause them mental health, such as depression and anxiety. So with that, thank you.
Okay, we have gotten some interesting perspective from our fellow panels. I'm glad to see that many of our panels from Malaysia had an open-minded when it comes to the LGBTQ topic. However, I wish that in near future, the citizen in our country shall be more open, accepting, and respect everyone in this community. Okay, so next question, please. How do you think the pandemic has affected the community?
Okay, in my perspective, this pandemic has benefited the LGBTQ community by allowing them to spend more time with their families and loved ones. In this sense, it may aid them in forging deep bonds with their family or friends. Spending time with their families will actually assist them in such a manner that their families will be comprehensible and able to comprehend them well. Because when strong bonds are formed, they can simply look up to the person and talk to without any hesitation. Moving on to the next panel, please.
Thank you so much for your opinion. In my point of view, from what I see, the pandemic has really brought a lot of negative effect towards the community. In context in which I mentioned earlier, Malaysia is very much a conservative country, and all of the citizens that have their own religions and beliefs, they have, for them, it might come off as being a part of the LGBTQ community. It's wrong by the book and not going by the rules and whatnot. And I'm speaking in terms of, let's say, if you are a part of the minority in the LGBTQ community where you are around family and friends that are against you and against your beliefs and against how you are as a person, they would perceive you as someone who is disgusting per se, someone who is sick per se. They have a lot of terms they would use that I would say is pretty nasty and hurtful. And this kind of feedback from society, and especially if it's coming from someone that you love, like your family or your friends, it's going to take a very big negative toll on their mental health. That's my opinion, because due to the pandemic, everyone is being forced shut indoors and they're being forced to live with their families. So that's my perspective. I'm passing on to the next panel for his opinion.
All right, so based on my opinion, the pandemic has both benefits and setbacks towards the LGBTQ community. Just like the rest of the community around the world, it's a global pandemic, not a LGBT pandemic or a straight pandemic. So everyone has to be treated equally and not by a certain society, not just by them. So, and just like what Ms. Divya said, you'll be able to spend more time indoors with your family, so that you'll be able to spend more time to open up to your family, so they have more time to accept you, to build acceptance and create a special bond. And like for other certain LGBTQ people, they prefer to go out and mingle around to achieve the bond. So they do get affected by this pandemic. So that's all from me.
Yeah, this is true. The pandemic has affected many things, like our panels mentions. This is the best time to spend with family members who may not understand their own ideas for a while. So people need to communicate more. But of course, maybe the fighting will be more also because the time together is longer than before. Let's move on to the last question. Next slide. What is your opinions on the perception society has toward this community? Do it play a role mental health and well-being?
Okay. Looking on the bright side, my opinion on the perception of our society isn't that awful. They actually have the humanity inside of them. For example, they provide opportunities for the LGBTQ community to educate, work, and do everything else that we do because they are truly normal and deserve everything. They want to be treated normally, and people look up to them despite the fact that they are members of the LGBTQ community. And with this, the public have learned to accept others for the way they are. This allows the LGBTQ to be more comfortable with their surroundings. Next panel, please.
Thank you for your opinion. For me, I would say the opinion society has towards the community is pretty much very negative. The majority of it, the vast majority of the opinions and perspective people have is very negative. Not going to say that they don't receive love at all. The community receives both ends of the spectrum. They receive tremendous amount of love and support. They receive hate as well. And hate really overpowers the support and love sometimes. I would agree with Divya, like what she said earlier, that they are given the opportunity to be in media and work and be as how other citizens are within this country. But for me, I would feel that society has a very negative opinion and standpoint towards this community, and it's really taking a toll, and it would be beneficial for everyone, not just the community, to have a more open mind and not constantly live in a very close-minded society. This is more towards working towards development. That's my opinion. Passing on to the next panel.
All right, so based on my opinion, the LGBTQ community is basically every community is heavily portrayed in cinemas. So as humans, we tend to adapt what we see, just like monkeys see, monkey do. So like in olden culture, so in olden cinema, they used to portray LGBTQ community in a bad way, as in like the gays are being treated badly by stabbing them, killing them. They're not part of the community, so they kill them off, and so on. They are being bullied in school and everything. So so that's what they've been portraying last time. And now, as the days progress, and now the community is changing, and everyone has been, let's say, their mind has been slowly opened up to this new lifestyle of this kind of people, LGBTQ community. So yeah, the movies are based on, we follow them. So we can see that the latest trend, like in Netflix and all, they adapt so many, they portray so many gay things and in an openly manner. So as in my opinion, I feel that it's heading towards the right way, but also getting some certain setbacks towards it also. So thank you for my.
Thank you for sharing the ideas. From what the panels have stated, it is clear to see that despite in the LGBTQ community, we are all humans, and in the end of the day, we all craft to belong. Okay. Now we are opening up to the Q&A sections. If you have a question, you can unmute your mic and ask our panels.
Hi, I have a question to our panelists.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I wanted to ask each of you, and this is from your own point of view, considering the fact that we have, of course, different religions and different beliefs as to the LGBTQ community. So I wanted to ask the panelists that from your point of view, do you think that we as communities, we should just accept the LGBTQ community, or the public should have their own choice as to whether to accept them or not?
Can I answer your question?
Yes, please.
Okay, in my opinion, I feel like I agree with you in a standpoint where it's a choice. It's always a choice. It's a free country, and we are all given the choice to love someone or hate someone, or in our context today, a certain community. But from my perspective, I feel that love can be given as much as someone wants, but I feel hate is unnecessary towards a community that doesn't really affect you. You know, I'm speaking from that standpoint because as far as I know, the community doesn't really affect people as much. They're pretty much on their own. But if they do, then yes, everyone is entitled to have their own opinions and spread hate, but it's not advisable to spread hate because it's pretty much unnecessary, in my opinion. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
I have more to add on to that question. So if like we can, what was I wanted to say? Oh damn. Okay, so it's like even if they are getting negative response from the from the other community, they should not it should not bother them, because they should follow the trend that you are who you are and just be that. No one should stop you from being who you are. So just follow by that and you're good to go, as in my opinion. So I hope that helps a bit.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you for asking the question and also the answer. And I can see they have many questions in the chat box from Nurul Fatima. If you were to have a friend who is in the LGBTQ, will you still accept the person for the ways they are, or will reject them?
I would accept them for who they are, as long they are who they are. Because as I believe in originality, so if you're 100% originality, 100% original, I believe you earn my trust easily. So yeah, we can accept them.
Same. I feel the same way too. I share the similar opinion as you. I feel that I would accept them open-heartedly because I wouldn't see them any differently, because everyone is equal and it's a free country. Everyone is free to be who they want to be.
Okay.
And same goes to me. I will definitely accept them because they deserve to be accepted as they are human also. And I do have such friends who falls under this category, and I love them just the way they are.
Yeah, thank you for the question and also the answer. Let's move on to the next question from Ji Cheng. In this modern day generation, do you feel that the LGBTQ is more often an open topic compared to those days?
Shall I go first?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, it is more open right now because, as I said in my presentation just now, media plays a big role in this. So like whatever we see, it's being portrayed. So we are implementing those. So we are accepting. We are open to acceptance. So yeah. So that's why it's heavily being portrayed outside there.
I feel for me, it's more openly spoken about now because of, I would say, pay gratitude and pay dues towards a lot of activists from certain bodies who actually speak out. And the community didn't really come from a background where they received a lot of love from the beginning. It's growth, I guess, baby steps. But now, thanks to a lot of activists and public figures who choose to come out and show the community that regardless of their gender and sexuality and how they identify themselves, they are still very much capable to be a part of our society and uphold certain standards. Did I answer?
Okay, thank you for the teaching, for asking the question. So now we move on to the Xi Hui question. We all know that children have a lot of curiosity. If in the future your children sees a scenes like this, he come and ask you, dad or mom, why are they two of same sex so close together? Would you choose to face the problem squarely or choose ignore the problem?
Yes, can I answer to that?
Of course.
Okay. I would choose to face the problem squarely because we as a parent should teach our kids the right to accept and respect the LGBT community because they actually deserve to be respected. Yeah, that's all for me.
Yeah, they should be accepted because I feel that we should bring them up from early on. So we should put this thing in their mind since early on, just like how we put Santa Claus in their mind early on. Instead of that, we put some valuable contents like LGBTQ LGBTQ community things for them to understand and grow up to be better human beings in this society. So that's all from me.
I would say for me, it's pretty much not a problem. It's based off of how kids are brought up, and I really hope that in our current modern society, people would educate their kids more and on how to accept everyone equally. And it's love. Love is love, right? Regardless of whether it's the same gender or two different genders, love is love. So I guess my opinion would be I would educate them, hopefully, and try to make them understand that it's nothing different and out of norm.
Yeah, thank you for Xu Hui. And we got a question from Nurul Fatima. What do you think about people who has fetish towards LGBT couple?
Should I answer that? Can I answer?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that is pretty much a personal opinion because everyone has fetishes, right? So I guess if someone has a fetish towards a certain community or a certain liking or some sort of attraction towards the community or certain people, we can't really stop that because that's how the human mind works. And if they choose to develop a certain liking in a weird way, or if they are just curious, I guess my opinion, I'm pretty much neutral on that. I don't have a negative perspective or a positive perspective. That's my opinion.
I have a negative opinion on that because I feel that if you have these kind of intentions, then I think you should just keep it to yourself and just keep it in as fetishes should be just fetishes in the bedroom. So just leave it at that. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the ideas sharing by the three panels, and thank you for the audience for asking the question. In the end, I want to say that no matter what, everyone has their own thinking and lifestyle. Everyone is equal and gifted with human rights. We cannot force the minority of people to accept the views of majority. You may not like it, but we must learn to respect people who are different from ourselves. This is also a manifestation of our own quality and cultivations. That's all for today. Once again, thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.